The sun was low in the sky when Toma carried the last basket of grain into the small wooden shed. The air on the planet Delon was dry, with red dust floating in the wind. Toma wiped his forehead and looked up at the hills, where the sky stretched. Wide and clear. The land was quiet, as always, peaceful. Toma lived with his parents and younger sister in a small farming village. People in Delon didn't have machines or flying cars. They used simple tools, pulled water from old wells, and traded food with nearby villages. Life was slow, and that was how they liked it. But that day was not like others. A strange sound filled the air. It was soft at first, like wind passing through a narrow pipe. Then it grew louder, deeper. Like the hum of a giant insect, birds flew up in panic. Goats ran from their pens. People stepped outside their homes, shading their eyes and pointing. At the sky, Toma turned and saw it, a silver object slowly coming down from the clouds. It wasn't falling, it was landing. It moved gently, as if the wind carried it, but the wind was still. The object wasn't like any ship Toma had ever seen in the old books. It had no wings, no fire, no noise. It was shaped like a teardrop and glowed faintly, like light shining. Through water, it touched the ground near the center of the village, raising no dust, making no sound. People gathered at a distance, whispering in fear. No one moved closer. Then a door on the side of the ship opened, and a tall figure stepped out. She was not human. Her skin shimmered with silver blue color. Her long robe floated behind her like smoke, though there was no wind. Her eyes glowed with soft white light, and her hair looked like strands of crystal falling across her shoulders. She was not armed. She did not look angry or dangerous, but no one could look at her without feeling small. She walked slowly, calmly past the people, who stepped back in silence. Her eyes scanned the village as if searching for something. Then she turned and walked straight toward Toma's house. Toma's father stood in front of the door, holding a wooden stick. His mother stood behind him, holding Toma's sister close. Toma stood beside them, heart pounding. The alien woman stopped a few feet away. She looked at each of them for a moment, her glowing eyes calm but serious. Finally, she spoke. "Give him to me." Her voice was smooth, like water flowing over stone. Her lips did not move much, but her words were clear. Everyone understood her. Somehow, she spoke their language. Toma's mother stepped forward. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. I am Neri of the Solari," the woman said. "We watch many worlds. We study many kinds. But never have we found one like him." She looked at Toma. "He has something we cannot make, something we need." Toma felt his hands shake. He didn't understand. He was just a boy. He helped with crops. He fixed tools. He had never even left the valley. "I think you have the wrong person," his father said, standing tall. Neri shook her head slowly. "No, he is the one. We have searched for many years." His mind glows. "What do you want with him?" His mother asked, holding her daughter tighter. "To take him with me," Neri said, "to the stars. To stop something that is coming. He is the only one who can help." "No," said Toma's father firmly. "He is our son." Neri did not raise her voice. "If he stays, many will suffer. Not only here. Across 3 star systems." The village elder, Moran, stepped forward. He was a quiet man with white hair and a bent back, but his voice was steady. "I have heard of the Solari," Moran said. "You do not speak to humans. You do not ask. You take." "Why ask now?" Neri turned to him. "Because this must be his choice. If we force him, it will not work. His power only works when it is free." The people around them murmured. They were afraid, but curious too. Why was this alien being asking for one of their own? Toma stepped forward, heart pounding. "Why me?" he asked. Neri looked at him with something almost like respect. "Because you are human, and because you have something inside you that my kind cannot understand. It is not skill, not strength. It is something wild, a fire." Toma didn't understand. He didn't feel special. He was just a farm boy. Neri took a small object from her robe, a smooth silver orb. She placed it on the ground in front of him. "This will show you what is coming," she said. "Then you may decide." She turned and walked back to her ship. At the door, she looked back once. 3 days, she said. Then I leave. With or without him, she stepped inside, and the ship closed. A moment later, it lifted silently into the sky and disappeared. Silence fell over the village. Thoma's mother knelt beside him and picked up the orb. It was warm. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Toma looked at the sky, where the ship had vanished. Something deep inside him had changed. He didn't know what or why. But somehow, the stars no longer felt far away. That night, the village of Dylan did not sleep. Toma sat by the fire with his parents, holding the small silver orb in his hands. It was smooth and cold, but it glowed faintly with a soft blue light. It didn't look dangerous, but it felt important, like it was waiting. Round them, other villagers whispered and gathered in small groups. Some were scared, some were angry, others were curious. No one had seen anything like the glowing woman or her strange ship. No one had ever heard a Solari speak before, let alone ask for something. Toma looked up at his father, whose face was tight with worry. What do you think it means? Toma asked. His father shook his head. I don't trust it. Why would a powerful being want a boy like you? What can you do that her kind cannot? His mother looked at the orb. Maybe it's a trick, she said. Maybe they take him and never bring him back. Toma didn't say anything. His thoughts were spinning. He stood up and walked a few steps away. The stars above were bright tonight, the same stars the alien ship had come from, the same stars she wanted to take him to. He looked at the orb in his hand, slowly. He touched the center of it with his thumb. The orb suddenly lit up. Light burst from it, but it wasn't blinding. Instead, it rose into the air and formed a circle of blue mist. Inside the circle, pictures appeared, moving images that floated like smoke in the wind. Toma gasped. The villagers who had followed him did too. They saw a planet green, full of life, suddenly turned black. A giant shadow passed over it, and then the land cracked. Forests turned to ash, oceans boiled. Cities vanished in seconds. Then another planet, and another, each one destroyed the same way. In the center of the image was something huge and dark. It was not a ship. It was not a living creature. It looked like a machine, but alive. A moving mountain made of metal and light, with spinning rings around it like claws. It moved slowly, but nothing stopped it. Toma stepped back. What is that? The village elder, Moran, answered in a quiet voice. The crystal engine. I've heard the name once, long ago, in an old trader's tale. A machine left behind by a forgotten race. It does not think. It only consumes. Once it wakes, it does not sleep again. The image faded. The orb floated gently down into Toma's hands once more. The villagers stood in stunned silence. Is this what she meant? Toma asked. This is what's coming. Moran nodded slowly. If it is true, then many worlds are in danger. Not just ours. His mother stepped forward, eyes wide. But what does she want from Toma? He's just a boy. He can't fight that thing. Maybe he doesn't have to fight, Moran said. Maybe they think he can stop it some other way. That night, the family stayed awake talking. They tried to find answers, but there were none. By morning, the silver orb remained quiet again, resting on the table like a sleeping star. The next day, the village held a meeting in the open square. People argued, worried, and debated. Some wanted to send Toma away. If she says he's the only one who can help, then let him go, said one man. We can't risk our world for one boy. Others were against it. What if they lie? Asked a woman. What if they take him and never return? He is one of us, Toma. Listened to them all. His heart felt heavy. He had never asked to be special. He never wanted any of this. Later that evening, Neri returned. She did not arrive in her ship this time. Instead, she appeared on the edge of the village as if she had stepped through a door. No one could see. Once again, the people moved back. Watching her silently, she walked to the center of the square and waited. Toma came forward. His parents closed behind. The orb pulsed gently in his hands. Did you see? Neri asked him. Toma nodded. Yes. Do you understand? No. He said honestly. But I know it's bad. Neri looked around at the villagers. The crystal engine wakes slowly. But when it moves, it cannot be stopped by power or force. My people have tried. Others have tried. All failed. It does not fear us. But it may fear you. Why me? Toma asked again. Neri looked at him closely. Because you do not think like us. Your kind is strange, wild. You change your mind. You make mistakes. You grow from pain. You are not built for control. The engine is built to control. That is its weakness. You are its opposite, Toma. Look down. I'm not strong. I don't even understand half the things you're saying. Neri reached out and gently touched the orb in his hands. You don't need to understand everything. She said, you only need to choose. Toma looked at his parents. His mother had tears in her eyes. His father's jaw was tight. But he nodded once. I can't make this choice for you, his father said. But if you go, remember who you are. Neri stepped back. 3 days, she said again. If you do not come, we will go to another world. But the danger will remain. She vanished once more without light, without sound. Toma stood in silence. The whole village watched him, waiting. But he didn't speak. Not yet. Toma could not sleep. After Neri's second visit, the village returned to silence, but it was not the peaceful silence they once knew. It was the heavy kind, full of fear and questions. People whispered behind closed doors. Children looked up at the stars with worry. Even the animals seemed restless. Toma lay on the roof of his house, staring at the sky. The silver orb sat beside him, softly glowing. He could feel it watching him. Or maybe he was just imagining that. Why me? He whispered to no one. He thought about the vision, the planets falling, the giant machine swallowing everything. It was hard to believe it was real, but something deep inside told him it was. The way Neri spoke, the way the orb showed him those pictures, it felt true, even if it didn't make sense. Below him, his parents sat by the fire. His mother looked tired. His father was silent, staring into the flames. Finally, his mother spoke. He's only a boy. He won't stay a boy forever, his father said. Toma closed his eyes. He wished the stars would go away. He wished the ship had never come. He wished he could just wake up and go back to working in the fields. But he knew things had already changed. The next morning, Toma went to the village elder. Moran sat outside his small house, sharpening a wooden walking stick. His white beard moved gently with the breeze. He looked up as Toma approached. You've come to ask something, Moran said, even before Toma spoke. Toma nodded. You've lived a long time. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Moran shook his head. No, but I've seen many strange things, and I've learned one truth: when something great calls you, you must listen, even if you're afraid. I don't know what to do, Toma said honestly. Moran pointed to the orb. That thing didn't come to anyone else, only you. That means something. Maybe you don't see it now, but it's there. Toma looked down. What if I go and I fail? Then you'll fail trying, Moran said with a gentle smile. That's more than most ever do. Later that day, as the sun dipped low again, Toma walked into the fields. He sat by the old wind pump and stared at the moving blades. He remembered how, just last week, he had fixed it after a storm. It felt so normal back then, so small. Now, everything felt big. Footsteps approached. It was his younger sister, Lena, carrying a small wooden cup. Here, she said, handing him water. He smiled and took it. Thanks. She sat beside him, kicking her feet in the dirt. You're going, aren't you? She asked. I don't know yet. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she whispered, I think you're brave. Toma laughed softly. I don't feel brave. But you still want to help, she said, even if you're scared. That's what brave means, right? He looked at her, surprised by her words. Maybe she was right. That night, Toma placed the orb in the middle of the room. His parents sat across from him, waiting. I want to go, he said. But not forever. I want to help. And then come home. His mother looked at him with sad eyes, but she didn't argue. She walked over and hugged him tightly. You carry us with you, she said, no matter how far you go. His father stood up and went to a small wooden box in the corner. He opened it and pulled out something, wrapped in cloth. "This belonged to your grandfather," he said, unwrapping a simple silver ring. "He was strong, like you. He believed in protecting others." He placed the ring in Toma's hand. "Wear it, not as a weapon, but as a reminder." Toma nodded and slipped the ring onto his finger. It was a little loose, but fit well enough. The next morning, the sky was cloudy. Wind brushed through the trees, carrying a strange stillness. Toma stood outside the village, waiting. And then, without sound, Neri appeared. She did not speak right away. She looked at him carefully, as if studying his face. "You have decided?" she asked. "Yes," Toma said. "I'll come." Neri gave a small nod. "Good. We must leave now." Toma turned back. His parents stood near the edge of the path. His sister waved. The villagers watched from a distance, quiet but full of respect. Neri raised her hand, and a circle of light opened in the air beside her. Toma stepped forward. He paused for just a moment, looking one last time at his home. The hills, the sky he had known all his life. Then he stepped through the light. He expected darkness or strange sounds. But instead, he stood in a large round room filled with soft blue light. The floor felt smooth, like glass, but warm. Lights moved slowly across the walls, showing stars and distant worlds. Neri stood beside a tall pillar in the center. "This is the travel chamber," she said. "From here, we go to our ship in orbit, then beyond." Toma nodded slowly, trying to take it all in. "How long until we get there, to where the danger is?" Neri looked at him. "Time works differently. When we travel far, but not long, we are needed soon." As she touched the pillar, the room around them changed. The lights became stars, spinning faster. Toma felt no pain, no pull, just a deep hum in his bones. And then he was no longer on Delin. Outside the window of the ship, a new world appeared, bright, beautiful, and unknown. Toma placed his hand over the ring on his finger. He was afraid, but he had made his choice. Toma stood at the window of the starship, looking out at the sea of stars. He had never imagined the sky could be so wide, so endless. Planets passed by like glowing marbles. Trails of light stretched across the dark, and colors moved in ways he had never seen before. It was quiet but not empty. The stars felt alive. Neri stood beside him, watching him closely. "You are calm," she said. "I don't feel calm." Toma replied, "But I want to see what's next." Neri gave a small smile. "Good." The ship moved silently through space. Inside, the walls were smooth and silver. No buttons, no screens. Everything responded to touch or thought. Toma had tried to speak with it, but the ship did not answer him. Only Neri seemed able to control it. They walked together through long, curved halls. The air was fresh and warm, like spring on Delin. Toma asked many questions, and Neri answered as simply as she could. She told him about the Solari, her people. They were once explorers, peaceful and wise, but now they were fewer, quiet watchers of the stars. They studied, listened, and rarely interfered. But the rise of the crystal engine had changed everything. It sleeps in deep space, she explained. It waits for energy, life, light, warmth. When it senses enough, it wakes, and it feeds. Toma frowned. "So it's alive, not in the way you are," Neri said. "It has no soul. It does not love or hate. It only consumes, and no one can stop it, not by force." "Then what can I do?" Toma asked. I stopped walking. She turned and faced him. "You are not like us. We are built by rules, shaped by order. You are chaos. You change, grow, feel. That is what the engine does not understand, and what it fears. But I'm not special," Toma said. "I can't even read some of your words. I don't have powers." Neri touched his shoulder. "Not yet, but you will. Later." Neri brought him to a quiet room with a soft round floor. In the center floated a small crystal, glowing pale blue. Round the walls were smooth lines, like waves. "This is the mind chamber," Neri said. "Here, you will learn." Toma sat on the floor, and Neri placed the crystal in front of him. "Close your eyes. Listen, not with your ears but your thoughts. Toma did as she said. At first, nothing happened, just silence, then soft sounds. Like music underwater. Images flowed into his mind. Shapes, stars, old stories, ideas too big to explain with words. He saw the Solari building great cities in space. He saw the first planet fall to the engine. He saw brave people try to stop it and fail. He saw a strange symbol glowing in them. Dark, pulsing with light. It looked like the spirals crossing. "What is that?" Toma asked. Neri answered, though he hadn't spoken aloud. "It is the sign of turning. The ancient symbol of life choosing its own path. It was lost long ago, but it has returned with you." The images faded. Toma opened his eyes. He felt dizzy, but full, like he had eaten a large meal made of thoughts. Neri looked pleased. "You learn fast." "I don't know how," Toma said, "but I feel different. You are awakening." She said, "Your mind is opening." As the days passed, Toma trained in many ways. He learned to move objects with thought, not by force, but by intention. He practiced calmness, listening, feeling the ship's energy. He studied the history of the stars and the shape of life itself. But more than that, he learned to feel connected. He began to sense the presence of things far away. He felt when a nearby planet turned its face to the sun. He felt the sorrow of a dying star. And once, late at night, he felt something cold and deep in the distance, something watching. "The engine?" he asked Neri. She nodded. "It stirs. It knows something is coming." One evening, Neri brought him to the top of the ship. The dome above them showed the stars clearly. "It is time," she said. "For what?" "To meet the council." Before Toma could ask more, the stars above bent and shimmered. A circle of light appeared, and voices echoed in the air, soft, many, like a choir speaking as one. A group of beings appeared floating, transparent, their shapes changing like waves. These were Solari elders, minds far from this ship, speaking. Across space, "This is the one." One voice asked. "Yes," Neri said. "He has begun the path." "He is young," another voice said. "Will he be enough?" Toma stood still. He felt small again, like when he first saw Neri. "I don't know," he said quietly, "but I'll try." There was silence. Then the voices spoke together. "Then we will guide you." The light faded. The elders were gone. Neri turned to him. "They believe in you now. That is a rare thing." Toma smiled, but it quickly faded. "How close is the engine?" Neri's face grew serious. 3 days. "It has begun its approach to a living world. We go there next." The ship moved faster than before. Toma stood once again at the window, watching stars stretch and bend. He held the silver ring on his finger. He remembered his sister's words. "Being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you still want to help." He closed his eyes and whispered, "I'll help. I'll do what I can." Neri entered quietly behind him. "The world we are going to is called Velen. It has rivers of light, forests of wind. Its people are kind. If the engine reaches it, all will be lost." Toma turned to her. "Then let's stop it." The starship slowed as it entered the orbit of Velen. Toma watched the planet grow larger through the wide window. A swirl of blue and green surrounded by soft white clouds. The colors were bright, fresh, alive. He could almost feel the gentle winds and hear the rivers flowing below. Neri stood beside him, her eyes focused and calm. "Velen is beautiful," she said quietly. "Many worlds would envy it." Toma nodded, feeling both hope and fear. "If the engine comes here, what will happen?" "It will feed on everything," Neri answered. "The forests, the waters, the people. Nothing will survive." Toma swallowed hard. He wished he could see the people of Velen, to understand who he was trying to protect. The ship landed gently on a hill overlooking a wide valley. Below, Toma could see towns and villages, small and peaceful. The air inside the ship smelled fresh, like rain on dry earth. Neri led him down a smooth corridor to a small room where they could prepare. "We cannot go alone," Neri said. "The people of Velen must know." Toma looked at her. "Will they help? They are kind, but cautious. You must earn their trust." The two stepped outside. The sky was soft with twilight colors pink. orange and purple melting together. The air smelled like wildflowers. From the path below came a group of Velen people. They walked calmly, their clothes simple but clean. Their faces were kind but curious. A man stepped forward. He was tall, with dark skin and bright eyes that shone. With wisdom, "I am Morrow," he said. "We felt your arrival. You are not like the others." Neri bowed her head slightly. "We come as friends. We come to warn you." Toma felt a sudden nervousness. What if they did not believe him? What if they thought he was a threat? Morrow smiled gently. "Tell us." Toma took a deep breath. He looked at the people before him, their hopeful faces, their quiet strength. "There is a machine," he began. "It is called the Crystal Engine. It destroys everything in its path. It is coming here." A woman stepped forward, her hair silver like the moonlight. "How do you know this?" Neri showed them the silver orb. It glowed softly, then rose into the air, displaying the same images Toma had seen before: planets burning, forests dying, oceans boiling. The people gasped, some covered their mouths, others stepped back in fear. "This is terrible," Morrow said. "We have not seen such darkness before. We must prepare." Neri said, "But we also need time. The engine is near." Over the next days, Toma stayed with the Velen people. They shared stories of their world, how they lived in harmony with nature, how they healed with plants, how they sang to the stars. Toma learned their language and their ways. He helped them build shelters and gather food. Slowly, he felt a part of this world, but always the fear of the engine remained. One night, as the twin moons rose high, Toma sat by the fire with Morrow. "Do you believe you can stop it?" Morrow asked. Toma looked into the flames. "I don't know, but I have to try." Morrow nodded. "Sometimes. That is all we can do." Then came the warning. One morning, the ground shook, the sky darkened. A low hum filled the air, a sound unlike anything Toma had heard before. It was deep and heavy, like the heartbeat of a giant. Neri stood at the edge of the hill, eyes fixed on the horizon. "The engine is close," she said. Toma felt a cold rush through his body. The world he had come to love was in danger. The people of Velen gathered quickly. They worked together to prepare defenses, not weapons of war, but barriers made from the living plants and crystals of their land. These barriers shimmered with light and energy. Toma helped, feeling the power of the place around him. He closed his eyes and tried to connect with the earth, the wind, the rivers. He reached out with his mind, feeling the pulse of life. Neri watched him quietly. "You are learning to listen," she said. "The engine can be stopped if we use life itself against it." Toma nodded, his heart beating faster. He had never felt such responsibility. As night fell, a dark shape appeared in the sky's shadow, moving slowly, blocking the stars. The crystal engine. It was enormous, larger than any mountain. With spinning rings and glowing lights, it moved with terrible power, crushing everything in its path. The people of Velen stood together, holding hands and singing a song of life. Their voices rose in the air, strong and clear. Toma stepped forward, the silver ring on his finger shining. He raised his hands and focused his thoughts on the engine. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the glowing rings of the engine began to slow. The shadows softened. Light returned to the land. The battle was not won. The engine still loomed, but for the first time, it hesitated. Toma looked at Neri, who nodded with pride. "You have power," she said, "and hope." The fight was just beginning. The crystal engine hung over Velen like a dark cloud. Its enormous form blocked out the stars, its rings spinning slowly but with terrible strength. The land below trembled, and the rivers ran quieter, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Toma stood at the edge of the glowing barrier, watching the machine with both fear and determination. The song of the Velen people surrounded him, a melody of hope and life. He could feel it in his heart. Neri stood beside him, calm as always. "It is learning," she said. "Your power, your song, they confuse it." Toma nodded. "But it is still moving forward. Yes, it will not stop easily." That night, Toma could not sleep. He wandered through the small village, now lit only by soft crystals hanging from trees. People whispered quietly in their homes, their faces tired but hopeful. He reached the top of a hill and looked back at the massive engine. Its lights pulsed. Slowly, like a giant's heartbeat. Suddenly, the silver orb in his pocket began to glow softly. Toma took it out and watched the small blue light swirl inside. Then, images appeared, visions of the engine's core, a deep chamber filled with dark energy, and a strange, glowing crystal at its center. "This is where it feeds," Toma whispered. "If we can reach it, maybe we can stop it." The next morning, Toma met with Neri and Morrow. Together, they planned. "We must enter the engine," Toma said. Neri frowned. "It is dangerous. The engine protects itself with powerful forces." "But we can't wait," Toma said firmly. "If it keeps feeding, Velen will die." Morrow nodded slowly. "I will take a group to help you. We know the land and the plants. They may protect us." Neri agreed. "We will go at first light." As dawn broke, the small team gathered. Toma carried the silver ring, the glowing orb, and a heart full of courage. They moved toward the engine's shadow. The closer they came, the more the air grew heavy and cold. Strange sounds filled the silence, whispers, hums, and the distant rumble of machines. The ground beneath their feet felt uneven, like the engine itself was alive and moving. Neri raised her hand, and a soft blue light spread around them, protecting from the cold and noise. The entrance to the engine was a wide, dark hole. It looked like a mouth waiting to swallow them. Toma stepped forward first, inside. The walls glowed faintly with strange symbols. The air smelled metallic and sharp. The sounds were louder echoes of machines working, but also something else. Like a pulse dot as they moved deeper, the team stayed close. Morrow carried plants wrapped in cloth, hoping their life force would shield them. Toma held the orb in front, its light guiding their way. They reached a great chamber, the heart of the engine. In the center floated the glowing crystal Toma had seen in his vision. It pulsed with dark energy, sending waves through the room. Suddenly, the floor trembled. A shadow rose from the darkness, a guardian of the engine. It was a massive figure made of light and metal, moving slowly but with strength. Neri whispered, "The Protector." Toma felt fear, but he stood tall. The battle was not with swords or guns. It was a fight of wills. Toma focused on the silver ring. He remembered his mother's words and his sister's courage. He reached deep inside himself and thought of Velen, the people, the rivers, the forests. The ring glowed brighter. The Protector moved forward, striking with beams of light. Toma dodged and used the orb to create a shield of energy. Morrow and the others helped by singing the song of life, their voices ringing through the chamber. Slowly, the Protector weakened. Toma reached the glowing crystal. He touched it with his hand. A shock ran through him, cold and powerful. But inside, he felt something else, a spark of hope. He thought of the sign of Turing, the ancient symbol of life choosing its own path. He focused all his strength on the crystal. The dark energy began to fade. The chamber shook violently. The walls cracked and light burst through the cracks. Outside, the engine's rings slowed and stopped. The great machine began to crumble. Toma and the team ran toward the exit. As they reached the fresh air, the engine collapsed into a cloud of sparkling dust. Velen's sky cleared. The stars shone bright once again. The people of Velen cheered. Toma looked at the sky and smiled. Neri stood beside him. "You have done what no one thought possible." Toma felt tired but happy. "This is just the beginning," Neri said. "There are more engines out there." Toma nodded. He looked at the silver ring on his finger, and he knew he was ready. The ruins of the crystal engine floated above Velen like dust in sunlight. The giant machine that once threatened life was now broken and silent. The sky, once dark with fear, now glowed with peace. Toma stood on the green hill where it all began. The wind was soft, carrying the smell of flowers and earth. He looked up at the stars, brighter than ever. Neri stood beside him, her eyes calm and kind. "The engine is gone," she said, "but your journey is not over." Toma looked down at the silver ring on his finger. It still glowed faintly, like a small star. "There are more?" he asked. Neri nodded. the crystal engines were made. In secret places, no one knows how many remain. But now, one of them has fallen. And that gives hope. Morrow and the Velen people gathered near the village. They sang songs of thanks, their voices rising into the air like birds in flight. Toma stood with them, feeling part of something greater. Before you came, Morrow said, we did not know fear, but we also did not know how strong we could be. Toma smiled. I didn't know either. I just did what felt right. That is where true strength begins, Morrow said. Children ran through the grass, playing and laughing. The planet was healing. But deep inside, Toma felt something stir. A soft feeling. A gentle call. Neri felt it too. Another engine is waking, she said quietly. That night, Neri showed Toma a star map inside the ship. One star blinked red among the others. This world is called Neora, she said. It is far and different from Velen. But the engine there is larger and older. Toma took a deep breath. Then that's where we go. You do not have to, she said. You have already done more than anyone expected. Toma looked out the window. I don't want to stop now. I want to help. Neri's eyes softened. Then I will go with you. The next morning, the Velen people gathered to say farewell. Morrow gave Toma a stone from the river, smooth and blue. For strength, he said. A young girl handed him a small flower in a glass bottle. For when you feel alone. Toma thanked them all. His heart felt heavy, but also full as he stepped onto the ship. He looked back at the peaceful world below. I'll come back one day, he promised. The ship rose into the sky, quiet and shining. The people waved until it disappeared among the clouds. The journey to Neora was long. Stars passed like dreams. Toma spent his time training in the mind chamber. He learned to feel the flow of energy through space, to calm his thoughts even when fear came. Neri taught him how to move with balance inside and outside. But something else began to change too. Toma's connection with the silver ring grew stronger. At times, he could feel thoughts from far away. He saw flashes of other planets, other people in danger. The ring was not just a tool. It was a guide. Finally, they reached Neora. It was not like Velen. The skies were golden, and the land was rocky and dry. But life still grew. Strange trees with glowing leaves. Animals that walked on four legs but had wings like birds. Toma stepped outside and felt the difference at once. This world was afraid. Neri looked around. The engine is underground here. Hidden, feeding slowly. Toma closed his eyes. He reached out with his thoughts, deep below. He felt a cold presence. The engine was waiting. But something else is down there, he said. Neri raised an eyebrow. What do you feel? People. Still alive, still fighting. They followed a path through the hills and reached a city half buried in sand. Tall towers leaned like tired giants. Lights flickered weakly through the dust. A group of people came out to meet them. Their clothes were worn, their faces tired, but their eyes were sharp. One of them stepped forward. She had short hair and a scar across her cheek. You are not from here, she said. No, Toma answered. We came to help. She studied him for a moment. Then she nodded. Come. We've been waiting. Inside the city, Toma saw machines like the engine old, broken, but still dangerous. The people explained that they had been resisting for years, but the engine was growing stronger. We can't destroy it, the woman said. It's part of the land now. Toma looked at the children hiding behind doors, the animals too weak to run, the sky growing dim. We don't have to destroy it, he said. We just have to wake the world. Toma went to the center of the city, where a great crack in the ground opened into the deep. He stood at the edge and held up the silver ring. It glowed bright, so bright that the people gasped. Then he spoke not with words, but with his heart. He called to the planet. He called to the life sleeping in the roots, in the rivers, in the wind. He called to the people's courage, their memories, their hope. The ground shook. A beam of light shot from the crack, and the sky opened with sound. The engine screamed, but it was too late. The light of life, the strength of change, the song of hope. These were stronger than metal or fear. The engine broke, not with fire, But with peace. Toma fell to his knees. Tired but alive. The people of Neora ran forward, cheering. The planet itself seemed to breathe again. Neri stood beside him. You did it again. No, Toma said. We all did it, together. Back on the ship, as they prepared to leave, Neri turned to him. You've become something more, she said. Toma looked at his ring. I'm still just Toma. Neri smiled. Toma, the bringer of light. He laughed softly. That sounds like too much, but it's true, she said. Toma looked out at the stars. So many worlds. So many people. And still more engines to stop. I'm ready, he said. And the ship flew on into the endless sky. The end.